Salut à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans Story Série saison 2, épisode 32. Cette semaine, on explore en détail les méandres de l'âme féminine en très belle compagnie. Même si le combat est loin d'être terminé, la présence des femmes s'améliore doucement mais sûrement dans les séries, devant et derrière la caméra. Le résultat, ce sont des pépites engagées qui rétablissent une égalité de traitement entre les personnages féminins et masculins, un point clé pour raconter des histoires réalistes et inclusives. Nous en avons discuté avec Sarah Hammond, l'heureuse productrice de Fleabag, bijou british écrit et incarné par Phoebe Waller-Bridge, la nouvelle égérie de Hollywood. La preuve, elle vient d'être embauchée pour revoir le scénario du prochain James Bond, rien que ça. Mais avant ça, nous avons rendez-vous avec l'équipe de choc de Chambers, série féministe et flippante menée par la cultissime Uma Thurman, qui n'hésite jamais à quitter le grand écran pour illuminer le petit. Elle incarne Nancy Lefebvre, mère endeuillée dont le cœur de la fille a été transplanté dans le corps de la jeune Sacha Yazzie après sa mort.
What happened? I had a heart attack. I had to get a transplant.
Does it feel any different? Can you tell it's someone else's?
It's actually very pleasant because as a journalist, I'm used to talking to men in any kind of field.
Same here, but on the other side.
It's really good. So it's really pleasant, and I'd like to know how you work all together and what does it bring to you to find a kind of a sorority, and does it change anything for you ladies to work all together?
It's a whole process. You know, it's actually something that I was thinking about recently, which is that, you know, collaboration isn't like an inherent gift. Mm-hmm. You have to learn how to collaborate. Yeah. And it's not always like so easy or automatic, and there's always compromise, and you learn a lot from other people.
Yeah, and I think that working with women specifically, you know, especially with this story where, like Uma was saying, that the women are kind of allowed to exist, and a lot of what they're being haunted by is themselves, yeah. You know? Yeah. So I think that it's a cool shorthand too, to not have to explain to someone, you know, things about the female body or why this, you know, walking down a dark alley at night for a woman is a very different scene than for a man. And just not having to explain things like that, not that that specific thing happens in the show at all, but just to the shorthand of like, oh yeah, I totally get it. Oh, and he looks at you weird, and then you're like, ah, like yeah. There's a musical melody that you don't have to fight for.
Well, if a man walks in an alley, there's no scene.
Right.
He just walks in an alley and nothing happens to him.
Depends on what he's carrying.
How did you end up all together, working together? Who picked who?
I was the last person in these two.
Maybe not in the minds of the writers and producers. Yeah. Maybe you were the first.
Well, in Chambers fashion, I say the universe brought us together and we all came through. I wrote the pilot at first, and then we had put together a team of producers and writers, and Jen came on and pretty much became a partner in crime. And with the character of Nancy, specifically when we started casting, we had a great casting director named Alexa Fogel, who has casted some of my favorite television shows and knew what we wanted with the casting. And I looked at the list for Nancy, and Uma Thurman was on it, and I think I laughed out loud. Like, yeah, all right, okay.
Like, okay. She will never...
No way, yeah, okay. And Uma took a giant fucking risk and came on, and it was awesome.
What made you want to take it?
You know, God knows. You know, I liked the writing of the first episode a lot, and I thought there was an opportunity to do some dramatic work, and I thought there was a lot of strong females around the project, and it seemed the right time to be supporting that. It's never been a wrong time. It just was, it was just compelling for me, particularly coming. I'd just been in a play on Broadway, and I thought it would be exciting.
How are you, Frank?
Thank you both. Your daughter, she saved Sasha's life. I can't even begin imagining what you all have been going through. I just want you to know that we're gonna do everything we can to keep her memory alive.
Nancy and I have endowed a scholarship in Becky's name.
We want to offer the scholarship to Sasha.
Watch out for that family.
What I think I really like about this show that's really different than a lot is I think that particularly the female characters are sort of allowed to just be and explore themselves. And, you know, there's horror and there's some scary stuff, but it's not like they're being hunted by men and like all this stuff that I feel like I have to watch constantly, like the endless entertainment of the hunting of women. And so I think that this show has just a kind of eccentricity and kind of a charm to its horror.
What kind of relationship you have with horror and the genre in general as a viewer? What kind of emotion it brings to you?
I think that there's a capacity that we have as humans that at a certain line we need to me it's the same thing as music and dance and horror and magical realism and nightmares and dreams. I think there's a certain line we get to where we need to express things in other ways that go into the supernatural. And for me, the psychological horror genre kind of opens doors to be able to play with some of that mind magic in a super fucked up way.
I'm on the same page. I mean, I'm basically like a drama person, and it's harder and harder to make dramas. Like everybody wants to sort of use a horror spin or a, you know, something. So, you know, I think wherever you can find, the genre makes it entertaining, and inside there is character work, you know?
Fiction is characters.
Exactly.
But
most horror scares me to death.
What the hell?
This is getting here, Sasha.
I think that one day we're gonna look back and realize that this whole heart attack thing was the best thing that ever happened to you.
And there's always a moment where you see something in fiction that goes to the most horrible pains that no one can deal with, where you feel like you have a friend suddenly you can talk to, or characters helping you out. Is it also something that attracted you to this show, thinking we might help people coping?
That's a really interesting question. I think especially with this show where we were dealing with a teenage girl and her kind of dealing with the horror of, like all teenage girls, the horror of what's happening to your body and that you feel out of control, that this was somewhat of a metaphor of that, and that she was literally out of control. And so I do think that we hope that if there's a younger audience that is watching it, or even an older audience that can relate and remember back, but to understand where we're coming from and be able to find something relatable.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please raise your hands if you would trade 5 years of your life for the so-called perfect body.
Avec Fleabag, l'anglaise Phoebe Waller-Bridge s'est imposée comme une scénariste hors pair capable de mettre à nu la psyché féminine. Cette comédie grinçante et sans filtre raconte le quotidien d'une trentenaire londonienne entre dépression et introspection. Sa productrice Sarah Hammond en parle mieux que quiconque.
She breaks my heart, but I love her for it. Like that's, I think, the first time I ever read Phoebe's writing of that character, that's exactly how I felt. It was an immediate reaction, because I felt like she was talking to me. And I remember when we were doing promotion for the first series, it was some of the material said she's not talking to just anybody, she's talking to you. And that's really true, it really resonates. Everyone can feel the damage, the insecurity, but the hilarious, well-observed lens of that character inside themselves. We've also got a little Fleabag on our shoulder, I guess.
My sister. She's uptight and beautiful and probably anorexic, but clothes look awesome on her, so...
You're almost late.
Let's do a flash poo and prep.
Oh, Christ, did you wash your hands?
Of course not.
Oh, my God, you are disgusting. Fucking hell.
Of course I washed my hands. It's not like I grew up without a mother.
Heard from Dad?
No. Dad's way of coping with 2 motherless daughters was to buy us tickets to feminist lectures, start fucking our godmother, and eventually stop calling.
It is one of those connections that she's drawn so beautifully in the series. I grew up with a brother, but I feel like Claire was my sister.
Yes.
It's just so, it's such a real sibling relationship. As you say, it's multifaceted. It's neither perfect nor deeply sad. It's, you know, the two are learning from one another and just not getting on, but feeling like they have to, which is great conflict to throw two characters into. You can mine so much story from that.
D'une franchise déstabilisante, l'héroïne de Fleabag brise toutes les barrières, y compris celle du 4e mur qui la sépare de nous. L'audace de la série doit évidemment beaucoup à l'écriture incisive de Phoebe Waller-Bridge, et là où d'autres diffuseurs auraient pu être effrayés par un tel projet,
The BBC and Amazon have been fantastic, really supportive, and Phoebe's got such a distinct and clear voice. You wouldn't want to meddle with that on any level. So they wanted her to do the show that she believed in, and so do we. So they really didn't have anything too prescriptive or any, you can't say that.
After some pretty standard bouncing, you realise he's edging towards your asshole. But you're drunk, and he made the effort to come all the way here, so you let him. He's thrilled.
Oh, I'm so thrilled.
Female POV hasn't been fully explored throughout art history, and now it's sort of having its time to shine, which is fantastic. But I think it's really about fresh and bold new characters. And broadcasters are very receptive to that. I think it's about, you know, women, instead of being victims of violence in television, they're perpetrators of violence too. They can be damaged, they can be provocative, they can be all of the complicated and brilliant things about complicated and well-drawn characters. I think that's about just an excitement at a new human perspective. So I don't think it's a trend. I think it's fantastic. It's happening, finally.
Yes, yes.
It's about bloody time.
This is a love story.
It's about audiences being more educated in the stuff that they want to watch. I think they don't just want to watch the same old thing over and over again. And, you know, when we just had a few terrestrial channels, you know, I think broadcasters could be a bit more, were a little more choosy about what they put on. But now there is so much choice out there, people can make those braver decisions. And I think that that has a lot to do with the rise of great and biting female writing. I'm hoping the gender balance, especially in directors, will be addressed in the next generation. It's about keeping fighting, I think, and producers and broadcasters looking outside the box in terms of, you know, directors and creative talent, you know, behind the screen.
Story Série, c'est terminé. La semaine prochaine, on fait une courte pause, mais nous avons convié une belle brochette d'acteurs pour vous tenir compagnie. Tom Payne, Seth Gilliam et Steven Dorff. Allez, à la semaine prochaine.